You're listening to the Last Man In podcast. Covering Winnipeg hockey and the NHL.
Scheifele dances his way in. Scheifele scores! Mike Wheeler finds the far corner. And the Winnipeg Jets win it in overtime.
A packed house here for Last Man In podcast number 132. I blew that.
That's okay.
I blew it.
It's okay.
I
We
blew
all
it
make
just
mistakes.
like Montreal's going to blow the Atlantic Division.
What?
Yeah.
Like out of the water or like?
No, like
Are they
they're
bad?
They're bad. Have you not seen what's going on with
Yeah,
Montreal?
but they're
I've seen
6 points
Carey
ahead of
Price's
everybody else.
stats. They're
With
not-
games in hand, though. Like,
That's true.
Ottawa's got 5 games in
Ottawa.
Ottawa's got 5
Can we
games
just go
in
back
hand.
to the preseason show when I said Ottawa could make the playoffs this
Hey,
year? You guys
and we-
gave me shit.
I agreed with you.
No.
I wasn't here, but I
Hey,
agreed with you.
they also have just a zero goals differential right now. So, you
They're
know what?
even?
Yeah, they're even. Which means it could go south if they start
It
letting
could also
more
go
goals.
north.
It could.
Let's also not
We'll see.
forget they've missed their number one goalie for how many months? Because
Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
And he came back.
And every time he comes back, he gets a shutout.
No, no.
packed house. We have Greg, Cameron, Matt, Dan.
Exactly.
So we
I'm
each
mad.
have to take our turns when yelling at each
We
other.
each have 15 minutes of airtime.
Yeah.
Except one of us is going to take 20 and one of us is going to get regressed to 10. Because the stronger people have to have more time
Yeah.
and the weaker people have to have less. It's like Dustin Byfuglien. He's a weaker player, but he gets more ice time
Yeah.
than other players on the ice.
Starting off good.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I'm actually,
Yeah.
I know, I'm not
Poking
even, I'm
the
not
bear.
even going to argue with you this year. Nope, I agree. Yep.
This year at all?
Yep.
All of
He's had a bad
2017.
year. He's been pretty crappy.
No, and on the podcast today, we're going to talk some Jet stuff as they're on a 4-game losing streak. We're going to talk their potential to make playoffs. The other kind of the West stuff that's going on. Some coaching changes. The Avalanche along with the Habs, and talk about Craig Anderson's return and what that means for the Sens going forward. So let's get started with the Jets. Obviously,
Let's do it.
they were at home at the beginning of the week. That's why you weren't on the podcast last week.
I was at the game. That is correct. Yeah.
What game did they? Who did they play?
Minnesota.
That was Minnesota,
Minnesota.
where they hadn't really played well against Minnesota this year.
But you know,
that was the
honestly-
one team that actually has their number this year.
Yeah, but you know what?
In the-
Honestly, that was the best game they played in the last week.
It was. It was.
They were down 3-0 and they almost came back.
Well, that's the
Almost.
thing, though, is they were down, so Minnesota wasn't pushing. Because
Yeah.
I was at the game, too, and they totally dominated that second and third period, pretty much. But that's because they were
Yeah.
down, and
No, that's true.
yeah.
I'm not saying
Who
it's
was in net?
I'm not saying it's a good thing that that's the best game they've played all week because the other.
So
games
they
were
did
pretty
they
bad.
pull Pavlik, or was that the game
Pav-
Pavlik got hurt?
He got hurt in
Cause-
after the third goal.
But he let 3 goals in on 14 shots.
3 goals.
Has he had a game yet? Quick. Has he had a game yet that he's played in that he hasn't allowed 3 goals?
No, because the Jets have let in 3 goals in 15 straight games.
His stats are actually just horrendous.
They're ass.
People,
Do you remember that
people
game?
just talk about how great he is, but they're absolutely
Well, okay,
garbage.
you listened to the podcast last week
Yes.
because you're an avid listener as well as a guest host. I'm pretty sure I mentioned it. You know your memory for some reasons better than mine. There was an article last week of that the Jets were now happy with Pavlik's performance with a 3.34 goals against average at the time and an 872 save percentage.
Who wrote that article?
Somebody on the Jets website.
Oh, it was on the Jets website. It was
think-
fake.
On the Jets website.
I think
on
they're
NHL.com.
happy because the team was playing better in front of them.
Well, they
Even
say
though
that
his
they
stats-
say that they're more confident with him.
His
But-
stats are not great, but the team plays better in front of them. but- Yeah, but back to my point. Remember that game about a month and a half ago where they shut out Calgary 2-0?
Yeah.
Every game since then, they've allowed 3 goals against.
So, and the thing
Every
is,
game.
Hold on. That
Every
was
game.
literally, that night was UFC 207. UFC 208 just happened. That's a month. Literally a month later.
Yeah. 3 goals a game.
We've been doing this podcast now for 3 years, and I think for the last 3 years we've talked about the Jets' goalie problems.
That hasn't changed.
It hasn't
But
changed.
some things are meant to just happen. Like the
Yeah.
Flyers will never have a defensive defenseman. It's always they have 5 forwards on the ice. That's what
And-
happens.
Yeah, but you
The
guys
Leafs
still
will
seem to
always
the
make
playoffs
bad
every
trades.
2 or 3
because
years.
they can score more goals than they can let in 6.
The Jets
they
can score
seven.
tons. The Jets can score a lot. They
They're,
just friggin'
they're in
can't
the
keep
top
the puck
10.
in their own
In,
net.
they're top 10 in goals for, and I believe they're bottom 5.
At the
in
start
goals
of
against.
last week, they were the only team in the league with 4 guys who are over 40 points.
Yeah. They
Who's
can
the,
score.
wait. So it's Scheifele, Line,
Ehlers, Wheeler.
real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've got forwards. They have talent.
I was mentioning this to Matt over
D.
the weekend. You know my prediction, my bold prediction for the East, how all 3 Leafs rookies are going to have 50 points, and you laughed at me?
It could happen.
Guys, Matthews is 4 away?
Marner's at 46. Matthews is at 43 or 44.
And then Nylander's the
at
outlier.
32 or 33.
Damn. Nylander's is the one that I'm
mid-30s.
really going to bank on.
But here's the other thing with those 3 young guys is they're the Leafs right now are in a tough spot. I don't mean to completely transition. This is hopefully the only thing we talk about the Leafs. Leafs are in kind of a tough spot right now. They're 4-4-2 in their last 10 games, I believe, and they're right in the last wild card spot. They're tied with Philadelphia right now with some games in hand, but they've got 4 games in hand on both Boston and Montreal. They've got to start playing better in February. They had a really good January, but they've fallen off a bit in February, and I think what's happened is teams have figured out Toronto a little bit more because they've pretty much stuck with the same lines all season long. Something the Jets haven't done, something a lot of other teams don't do. They don't kind of stick with the same lines night after night after night because you figure out those lines eventually.
Easily, yeah.
Eventually, right?
Yeah.
So they're in a transition period where you're going to see some line shuffling. So it might mean Nylander gets more ice time with Matthews, maybe gets some time with Kadri, maybe gets time with Marner, whatever it might be. So I think your prediction could still very much happen.
I think you
I'm
could
confident.
be. And more to the Leafs thing. I remember I saw something, I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago, they said that...
Was it on TSN?
It was basically saying that the Leafs, the rest of their schedule, they're going to have to basically go through what the Jets went through the first 2 months. Like, they play more than it, there's not 2 days in between each game. If you average it out, it's like a game every day and a half for the rest of the year. So that could be why they're stumbling a little bit.
And it's, really, it's a young team.
Yeah.
When you look at a lot of these guys have never really played this many games over the stretch of their career, like Nylander or Matthews. Like Matthews has never experienced an 82-game schedule, as far as I know. Of like college, you play 35 games.
You never played college.
Sorry, Zurich. I'm thinking.
No,
of the
but college or European,
Yeah.
even if you go all the way and you play as much as you can, you're topping out at max 60 games. Max.
Yeah.
That's including playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even in college, that's if you count the tournaments and then you go to the final, I think the max you could play is I want to say 50, 57 around
And
there for college.
Then you've got there's just obviously a lot of variables with every team, but
no one
that's the one thing that's going for the Jets right now is because they have some time to rest now that they can actually maybe gain some ground. Even though what happens is when you play a lot of games in a condensed amount of time, is injuries do start to happen. Like the Jets have a very spread out schedule for the rest of the year. They still have their bye week, which is just a dog pile of shit that should never happen
Which is
again.
going to be great because by the end of the bye week they'll be 20 points out instead of 8 points out.
They are currently 6.
Yeah.
But
Out of the
they could be over 10 points out by the
They
end of that
could.
week.
They could, but the thing is,
They have 3 or 4 games in hand on a lot of these teams.
the thing
it'd be
is, though,
nice
is you got to
for-
look at everybody in front of them, though. Like, how healthy is everyone, right?
It seems
And
like
it could-
every year the Jets are always the team that every other team has games in hand on the Jets. Every year, I'd love for it to be the other way around, just once. But that's even the year that they made the playoffs. They were the team that played the most games still, and they had to wait and see what other teams did at points because teams and games.
They played 86 regular season games, but it only counted as 82.
They did.
Yeah, that's what
It
happened.
felt like it.
No, it was a joke.
No, I missed what. Oh, you're saying that the Jets always play
More than everyone else.
Felt
For
like
those who caught it that aren't in the same room as me,
Yeah.
Let's just say
congratulations,
this.
you're now smarter than Cameron.
I'm fine if they play like they did against. Let me think. Who's the last? Those Anaheim, San Jose back-to-back games. If they play like that and they lose, I'm okay with it. But when they play like they play against Tampa and Chicago and they lose, I'm pissed because they look like they don't give a shit.
So they lost to
There's
Minnesota.
no effort.
Then
4-2.
they played
The Chicago game
then they
was
played Chicago, a
That
team
was okay.
whose number they've had all season long.
That
and
game
pretty
was
much
okay.
since they've been in the Central Division, they've had Chicago's number. Especially
but
Hutchinson.
They were
Chicago's
4-0
not
against them
gonna-
going into that.
Yeah,
game.
Chicago's
exactly.
not going to let him. As I
No.
texted Matt about
Of
this,
course.
like Matt mentioned, Chicago's. I didn't realize that Chicago hadn't beat them this year. Chicago's not going to let them. Like they were coming in pissed. They're not going to let them win that season series.
Full of vinegar and
That game wasn't terrible. The game Saturday,
against
I
Tampa.
only
They
watched-
lost 3-1.
I only
they
watched
looked
the first
great
period.
for the first 15 minutes, and then Tampa got a goal, and that was it. It was done. They folded
was in
up.
net?
They folded up.
Hellbuck.
How about for both
I wouldn't
Friday
say.
and Saturday?
I wouldn't say it was his
Saturday.
fault.
Oh, both.
Both,
Okay.
yeah.
Honestly,
Back to
I
back.
thought he played good in both games.
You know what I
He,
know?
he wasn't the problem.
No.
This team
Saturday night,
inspired.
like, there's 2 players looked good on Saturday. because they were just giving their all every shift and they didn't care. Nick Ehlers and Jacob Trouba, they both looked very good.
So
Everyone else, Blake Wheeler got stripped by the puck and he bailed. He looked like an 80-year-old man when that happened.
And it was against Jonathan Drouin, who's one of the smaller guys in the league. It looked terrible.
You never see Wheeler that happen to him, where he's just lollygagging up the middle of the ice in his own end, and the guy comes behind him and strips the puck off him.
The problem this team has right now is this team is nothing without Scheifele and Wheeler going.
Yeah.
When those two guys are going, this team has a chance to win every night, and neither of them are going right now, so they got to figure something out. Because it's just not working, whatever they're doing.
Even Laine, he looked great the first 2 games after he came back, and ever since then he doesn't look good.
Well, in
at
the
all.
Wild game, he got put on the 4th line, and then people were complaining about that.
I have a bone to pick about that. I'm fine with that. I'm totally fine. He makes a couple of gaffes, he put him on the 4th line, fine. But when Dustin Byfuglien takes the stupidest fucking penalty in the world and gives the other team a penalty shot, why doesn't he get disciplined?
Why? No,
It's stupid.
Which game did that happen in?
Minnesota. He shot there was a stick lying on the ground.
With Granlund,
he shot the stick at the guy at the puck. Why doesn't he get disciplined? He was out there the next shift. Why? He hasn't played
are you
well
gonna
this year.
would you rather put Buff or are you gonna put Postma?
There has to come a point where it doesn't
Trouba's
matter who the guy is. If he does something stupid, he needs to be punished for it.
Yeah, you can't.
And that's the problem. You can't pick favorites. You can't go, he's played in the league for 12 years. He's fine.
Can't have
That
people above
could,
others.
they didn't win the game, but that could have cost them the game. It had to, it was a 1-goal game in the 3rd period. That was stupid.
Myers been there, would he have gotten sat?
Yeah.
Instead of...
I don't think.
Oh, speaking of,
that's the thing.
That happened between last podcast and this one, right? Where they announced that Myers had another surgery and he's out 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
What was it with? Hold on, I think I wrote it down.
They just said lower body.
Lower body.
I've heard groin multiple times.
Okay.
Going back to
lower body could be anything.
So.
Could be one toe.
But at some point, it doesn't matter who's in your lineup. You have to discipline these guys.
Somebody was
and Byfuglien,
Tyler Myers.
Saturday, the team's down a goal. He should be the guy that's out there banging bodies and trying to get something going for the team. He doesn't. He just skates around. I don't feel like hitting anybody.
I don't feel like
I'm to the point where I turned the game off after when they went down 3-0. I turned it off. And I don't normally do that.
No, you don't. You usually
don't care.
ride the wave of hate.
I came back and watched a little bit of the 3rd, and Trouba looked great. He was fantastic, because he was the only guy that didn't give up.
That's because Trouba is fantastic.
Yes.
He's the only guy trying.
I mean, if they could trade their entire decor except for Josh Morrissey and get more Jacob Trubas, they should.
Jacob Trouba's playing for another contract again.
Yes.
He's
sure
showing
as hell hope is here because
he's showing that he's worth the money he was asking for. That's honestly, I think that all that negotiation, all that stuff was his pride. Just he wants now to show that he's worth that money and that they should have paid him. And they're gonna have to if he continues to play the way he is, because they're giving Byfuglien, a guy who's probably been one of their worst defensemen this year, a boatload of money when your best defenseman is making less money and he was hauled out. But
he just hasn't been that impact player that he
hasn't been the X factor.
No.
He's just kind of fallen off. He's what everyone thought Shea Weber was going to be, including myself.
Yeah, I mean,
Byfuglien, who's completely disappeared.
Yeah, this
exhaustion
from him playing too many minutes at the beginning of the year.
Well, he's still leading the league in ice time.
Buff's happy medium
for players.
From what I've noticed, Buff's happy medium in a game seems to be 21 to 24. He can do up to 27, but once he passes I think 26 mark, he starts trailing.
I think he loves playing 30 minutes a game personally.
He wants to play,
but he's not nearly as.
But his ability, it's not like Ryan Suter where, okay, well I don't even know if they do that anymore with Suter or not.
With his
where he
ice
plays
time?
31
it's
minutes.
Keith
a game.
in the playoffs.
Yeah,
there you go.
Or Brett Burns.
Yeah, exactly.
But the thing is, that comes down to coaching. And the one thing that I don't think's changed, and Matt can probably correct me, we haven't changed our assistant coaches since we got the team.
You fired the forward coaches.
Well, you fire every assistant coach because the power play and penalty kill is terrible. The goaltending is terrible. The forwards and the defense are terrible at times.
Hold up.
Why are you yelling?
Their assistant coach last year.
You have to emphasize things.
Their assistant coach last year. He is now the head coach of the Manitoba Moose. They brought in a new.
Who's terrible?
Yeah,
I know. Terrible.
But they brought in Jamie, whatever his name, Compton.
Yeah,
Compton. Portland Winterhawks head coach.
Yeah.
And when Claude Noel got fired, 2 of his assistants got canned too.
Okay, so I'm wrong.
But
there's
they
been
kept
a
the
bit
D.
of change.
They kept the D.
Charlie
I
Hudson
don't know
Charlie
how
Hudson
he
coach.
coaches. I don't know why he's.
And honestly,
and they've
they're-
kept the
I don't know
same
what it is.
penalty kill and power play guys who were in
And their
Montreal when
goaltending
they had
coach.
the worst seasons of special teams.
and
they
their
brought him.
goaltending coach is still Wade Flaherty, which, and again, he's a guy. He played for the Moose.
Didn't
They're
they have?
loyal to all these guys, and it's
Where's Rick St. Croix? Didn't they have him with the Moose way back in the day?
maybe.
They should bring him back. Unless
They
is
just
he in
need-
Toronto?
Let me say this.
He might be, actually.
He might be.
I think you're right.
I think he's
I-
with another team. That's
You
outside.
have the money. You have the money.
Personally, I don't think Paul Maurice should be fired.
Neither do I.
But at the same time, when you look and see a guy like Claude Julien who's available, don't you just want to go, I wonder what he would do with
he's
the
not
Jets?
going to sign here.
I'm just saying. Doesn't it make you kind of wonder?
You do wonder, but then
You
you
know?
fire Paul Maurice and you go after Claude Noel, and then he doesn't want to come here. And now you're hoop.
Well, no, you hire him first.
I
before
know, but like,
No, I know,
You
and-
don't really want that.
Wouldn't you
like,
want? You don't think?
But that's
I know
why
he
I said
wouldn't
I-
want to come here. But don't you think he'd look at this team and see the potential he would
Yeah.
have here? And be
Yeah, but
like,
But there might also be other teams, such as Florida, who might
Wow,
attract
Vegas.
him, or
Or
Vegas.
or Vegas
Well, if he
or
wants to do-
Montreal.
If he
think
wants
that's
to
a
do
big
a
one.
rebuild, he'll probably go to
If
let's
he
just
wants
put
to
the
do a
four
build?
teams on the table. Rebuild Vegas, no question.
but
If he wants to be there or get there with the team, it's Vegas or Winnipeg, or
It's-
not Vegas,
it's
Florida
Florida.
or Winnipeg.
or Montreal.
But I'm not even saying would he
Or,
want to
no,
come here.
Montreal would be my top choice if I was Julien, because they have
He's been
everything
there, though.
you need pretty
He's been
much.
there. I'm not even like.
So
I'm not even saying would he want to come here. I'm just saying wouldn't it be like? Don't you just kind of wonder if the Jets had a guy like that, a proven coach who's like what he could do with the team? Because
See-
if they bring in a guy like that, nothing changes. Then you know it's. And personally, I don't think it's coaching. I really
Well, what
don't
do you
think.
think
It's
it is?
I don't think it's.
I
coaching
don't
either.
think the players
But-
are. I don't think they're putting in 100%.
But I want to get this. I want to get this point out there about
Some
Coach
of them
Uribe.
might be, but I don't think they all are.
Everybody remembers back in 2011, they were playing against the Montreal Canadiens. They were down 3-0 or 3-1 in that series to Montreal. Boston, back in 2011, they're down 3-1 in that series. If they lose Game 5, or if they lose that series at all, Julien's gone. No cut for Julien. No
Cut from
committed.
Boston.
No cut for Boston. No committed success for that team long term. And then he goes on this run, and this firing really could have happened 6 years ago.
But they win the cup.
Yeah.
And then every time they start streaking, rumblings come around. 2013, that's the one where they went to the final again and
Yeah.
lost to Chicago. Yeah, that one, he was on the hot seat again.
Yep.
So, like, winning does save careers.
Cam
I-
Neely just didn't like him.
Yeah.
He wanted him gone from day one.
Yeah, but, like, even
go with
Cam
the team.
Neely's, who was that? Who just got fired? Who used to be the GM?
Don Sweeney?
Don Sweeney.
No, before Don Sweeney,
Shirelli.
Peter Shirelli.
Was it Sir? Okay.
Yeah, Shirelli was
Maybe
there
Sir.
before.
No, I just remember hearing way back where they just like in 2011 to I'll say 13 where they wanted to like finally do the official like hey new guard get rid of Chara, and I'm pretty sure it was who we just mentioned
Cam Neely.
Cam Neely saying no you're not doing that, and now look at Boston, like every time a D's available Boston's one of those teams like oh
Yep,
well
Kevin
we need him.
Shattenkirk.
Yeah,
Pretty much anyone.
year
After
there's someone
After they went to the cup that year, they should have just dismembered that team and just built
Like
it from the ground
2013
up.
team?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Second time.
I'll give you my Jets wish list. This is what they need to improve on. Their bottom pair, they need honestly probably two guys, two solid bottom pair defensemen. They need a good penalty killer, and
Go for a leak.
they need maybe another solid bottom six forward, and they need a veteran
you
goalie.
just named a whole line of
I'm telling you
players.
what they need.
No, I know, but like that's madness.
So
Like,
they're
the waiting period is
their
gone.
top
Like, they have
4D
to do it now. They have to fix it.
honestly, their top 4D is fine.
Oh, we're not disagreeing.
Are
with
they
that.
playing up to their caliber? No, but the talent they have is fine. Their top six is fine.
Okay, who are their top 4D? Are you including Tyler Myers or not including?
I would
Tyler Myers?
say Morrissey, Trouba, Myers, Bufflin. If that's your
Okay.
top four, you're good.
I think
And their
that,
and their top six, you can throw Armia, Kopp, or Perreault onto as the sixth guy there. No matter who you put there, I think it's pretty good.
I think Kopp's showing himself as a proven NHLer with
Yes.
his time at the top.
But
line.
their bottom six needs some work, and it's not big. Like they don't need big pieces. They need a couple little pieces here and there. A goalie, like they need a proven number one goalie for a couple of years.
Jimmy Howard.
Howard, Fleury, Bishop, Elliott,
They just played
Steve
against them.
Mason's available.
There's
Go
so
for it.
many.
I'm
there's
just saying.
tons
Don't
of
do
goalies
But they
out
need
there.
the Jets have never committed big money to a goalie, and I think that's their problem.
Well, just don't commit the same way Dallas did, because we know
No.
how that's worked out.
But you look at all the good teams; they have big money. They have a lot of money in their number one goalie.
But
The Jets have never had that.
and they were hoping to have that with
Well,
Hellebuck,
they
and
had-
And I
their
think they
contract.
still will, but I think they need a veteran guy for maybe 2-3 years who, for the next year or two, plays half the games, and then maybe the last year he's the backup for Hellebuck.
Do you look at going after Fleury then? Because I think he's got 2 years left on his contract.
Fleury's an option.
5.25. And
I
that's
I
the
pers-
deal.
though.
The guy
What is
that
the
I
price?
think
What's
they
the
should
thing?
is Jimmy Howard. That's the
I
guy.
think
I
Jimmy Howard
think
too.
that's the guy they should get because he's got about two years left on his deal.
Yeah.
And he's still solid.
You know,
I think that's the guy
Last
they
year
should-
he lost the net to Peter Mrazek. Then this year he
Yeah.
came out and kind of won the net away from Peter Mrazek. And then I think he's hurt right now.
And then
He just went
Who's
to-
that other guy?
Fuck, I don't know his name.
Is a C.
He was down in Grand Rapids for conditioning, but he's back. Like honestly, Ben Bishop would be great, but he's gonna want a big deal.
And he's gonna
Well,
want
especially if he's
term.
coming to Canada. He's
Yeah,
gonna want
he's gonna want
he's
term,
gonna
and
respect.
the Jets need a guy for 2-3 years max.
What if Bishop goes back to St. Louis? The team that drafted him.
They like
You could
Allen
say that
too
with
much,
Ryan
but
Miller
yeah.
too.
But the thing, do they like they like Allen, but they've surrounded him with safety blankets for his entire career, except for this year, and look how that's worked out.
You just named second star of the week.
Well,
Once.
prior to this,
I know, but how goalies are streaky.
I know they're extremely.
And to your
streaky.
point, I don't know like the price for Jimmy Howard. What is the price? I don't
Not
know.
much. Defenseman.
Like-
Toby Edstrom. Just kidding.
Wow.
Dustin Bufflin. There
Yeah,
you go.
Maybe
That's where
Right-handed
it
shot.
starts. Right-handed shot defenseman.
for Jimmy Howard though.
No, not straight up. You'd probably get.
Like, I feel
you
like-
could maybe. You know who you could maybe get in that
Anthony
deal?
Mantha.
Anthony Mantha.
Oh, that'd be okay.
I texted. Greg and I literally texted about this like the night the podcast came out. We were like, "Well, who could they get?" And I was like, "Well, Mantha. There's let's see if I
Here-
go back.
here's the
yeah,
other
there's
thing.
a few
Pavlik
Here's the
would
other
go
thing.
to the other way, and we
Quite
retain
honestly,
salary on someone.
If there's a year that the Jets were to give up their first round pick,
This year?
this year, they don't need another first round pick right now. They don't.
They have so much.
That
talent.
cupboard is stocked with everything you can
Yeah.
buy at Safeway Sobeys.
Yeah.
Every spice that's in that cupboard. They've got everything.
So maybe
nice.
you move a
unless that-
first round
that
pick and a
defenseman
prospect for.
to us. That Liljegren. He's
Liljegren.
really
But
good.
it depends where the Jets finish off, because we know how the Jets play in March. Jets are a very strong team in March
No,
every year.
Liljegren's not even ranked in the top 10.
What happened?
He's ranked like 8 to 14.
Now?
Yeah,
He's
well, he
dropped?
didn't play at the World Juniors because he
And
was injured, and then he hasn't been playing like stellar out of his mind because he's playing against men in Sweden.
Sweden.
Oh, I've seen this happen before.
But it's the same
Last
thing that
year
Jacob Chitrin
with
went
Jacob
through.
Chitrin.
Yeah, it's fine. You guys,
Stop stealing everything I'm thinking about. Moving further away from you. This is ridiculous.
okay, here we go. So another team is Detroit. They could target DeKaiser and or Mantha, Zach Nastasiak, or I don't know his first name, but Shvechnikov. He's a forward for I think the Screaming Eagles.
The
Don't quote
Jets
me.
should target these people.
And
Yeah,
with
just to get
a
rid of
conditional
This was
first
the
and a
conversation.
second. Like that's what I'd be like. That'd be the kind of deal that I'd be
In
assuming.
terms
So
of
Jets
are
would-
we all on
Well,
board
if it were
thinking?
Buffalo.
Are we all on board thinking that moving Bufflin is a serious option?
I don't like it, but I could see
Okay,
it being an option.
as-
You have
as
to look
being
at
a-
everything. As being a GM, you have to look
Personally,
at
I
everything and see how
don't
it
think
affects
it would
your team.
happen.
He's got a full no move clause. You can't
But-
really.
But if you're exactly, you got to make him waive it. But we're not talking like a Brent Burns deal where, you're trading away a guy and you're not really certain about what you're getting in return, right? Like San Jose kind of took a gamble on Brent Burns and then put him back to defense, and he's
And then
flourished,
put him back to
obviously.
forward.
Who did,
Then
who
put
did
it back to
Minnesota
defense
get? Charlie
we
Coyle?
we went. Charlie Coyle was part of that deal, a first round pick, I believe, but like
Okay.
really nothing memorable for what the player that Brent
Setaguchi.
Burns. Devin Setaguchi was
Setaguchi
part of that
was
deal,
good.
who was also just put on
Sure,
waivers
yeah.
by LA. Regardless of that, you know what you're getting with Dustin Bufflin, and if he goes to a team like, remember, this is also the Detroit Red Wings that are trying so hard to protect that streak that they're still only like 7 or 8 points out of the playoffs right now.
But what if but they're also right on the bottom of the league. So what if you look at Detroit and you go, what if Detroit finishes bottom 3 or 4, which right now they are.
And
What if the Jets finish two spots higher? What if they offer first round pick and Nick Patan, or something like that? Then the Wings get 2 picks in the top 5. If they
But
want to
then the Wings will
rebuild,
trade him away and get a player. They like 7th
I'm
round
just
picks,
saying,
6th
like,
round picks.
there's ways that the Jets could get a goalie without giving up a big player. I mean,
They had their chance with Yaroslav Halak. That would have been a fantastic fit.
you almost
I'm
wonder.
sure,
if they're-
Weaver is
I'm
just
sure you
dead
still
him.
could. I'm sure you still
Well,
could.
and that's a guy I didn't even
And
think about that guy.
When you think about it, though, they might have not had enough room in contracts. They might be at the full maximum 50.
And then
But
they
I don't
actually
think they had thrown in the red flag yet, and because
But
at
that
that
could
time
be-
they still thought it was going to balance out, and it
But-
hasn't.
But you had to think at the beginning of the year when they put Pavlik down, they had probably very little intention for bringing him up. And
Look
they
how long they waited. They didn't
Exactly.
want to bring him up.
exactly. So maybe they are at, I don't know how many contracts they're at, but maybe they are at that 50 contract limit. Because of the injuries they've had and the fact they've had to bring so many guys up. Maybe they are at 50.
Another point on the Jets, Minnesota put Tyler Graovic, is that how you say it?
Graovac.
On waivers today. I'd be curious to know if the Jets would take a chance at him.
Who did
He's-
that?
Minnesota. He's 6'2", 210, and he's a centerman. Hasn't really played in the NHL a whole lot, but he sounds like he's got some upside. So I'm wondering if the Jets, if you take a waiver claim on him.
We have a centerman who's 6'3", who's
Yeah.
big body, can take face-offs, sometimes penalty kills
Yeah.
when he's not in the box.
But why not have another
His
one?
name's Adam Lowry. He's got some upside,
He's
but
6'5",
like,
actually.
oh sorry, 6'5". But that's the same Dustin Byfuglien 6'5", right, Cameron?
Yeah. Actually,
But why not have Lowry as your third line center and this guy as your fourth line center?
I was just.
the Jets have
I mean-
43 NHL contracts out of 50.
They have
have
43, so they had the room.
are sitting pretty.
And
They
I
are sitting
honestly,
pretty. That
I
is
fully
very
expect that the Jets won't do anything
And they have
until summer.
they have
I don't think.
18.8
They have
million.
18 point. Yeah.
Or no, wait.
18
5.5 right now for the
Actually,
season.
I should say that.
So.
I think the Jets will get rid of a couple of contracts at the deadline, but they won't pick up any.
So
Drew
there's-
Stafford.
There's sellers.
Stafford,
Thorburn.
Enstrom, I would not be surprised if they try and move Enstrom.
They're going to try to move Enstrom.
They're going
it's
to have
just
to
about
retain a lot of salary, though.
Who is going to take him?
Arizona.
You got to go to a team who wants D.
My thought in like Philadelphia.
If you retain half,
Fuck, you
they're
know
not
who's
taking-
going to take him?
Ooh,
You
no.
know
Boston.
who's going to take him?
Boston.
No,
Carolina.
no,
Can't
even
even
worse.
wear 39.
No,
Matt
even worse.
Molesky?
Even worse.
Toronto.
Yeah.
What do you mean that's bad? That's great.
No.
Yeah.
No more
Polak.
Toby
No more
Enstrom.
Polak.
No, it'd be no more Hunwick.
Okay, no more Hunwick.
I'd be okay with no more
Have Toby.
Hunwick, but no.
if
It'd
Toby
be
goes
Postrom.
anywhere,
Postrom.
Oh, boy.
he'll go to Pittsburgh. They needed a defenseman.
No.
Enak and Postrom.
No.
I'd be totally fine.
It
with
would
that.
be it'd be Enlack. It'd definitely be Enlack if that was a pairing.
Do you know what I also...
Yeah.
Another curveball. Remember how, like,
Or Ottawa.
all
They
of
like getting big defensemen
That's
with
true.
huge contracts right at deadline.
him and Phaneuf?
Phaneuf's getting traded.
Phaneufstrom.
Phaneuf's getting
They're
traded.
both
Lundstrom.
left-handed though.
Lundstrom.
Yeah,
No. Then you have
Fostrom.
yeah. There you go.
Fostrom.
Phaneuf can play up in his off way.
I know he can.
Like,
Curveball for the draft, for the expansion draft I just saw today, though. Remember how everyone's saying Matthew Perreault is going to be the guy that gets picked up?
Not a goddamn chance in
Little.
hell with that contract.
Curveball, when his new extension kicks in on July 1st, he has a limited no trade where he can only be he can give them 5 teams.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So maybe they expose him, and because if maybe 2 years from now, if he goes downhill, maybe they can't trade him because he only has 5, gives them 5 teams.
Who's this player?
Perreault?
Oh, we are
Oh.
talking about Perot.
So maybe
okay, I was like,
so maybe that's why they expose him to maybe get themselves out of a pickle 2 years from now. I don't know. Honestly, personally, I would not. I would protect him personally, but that's just me.
I would not.
I don't.
If it
think
came
so.
to him,
so awful.
if it came to him or Armia. But if you could do both, I'd do both.
It's gonna shake down to see what happens. Like
But that's just me.
the other thing too is it's gonna matter where this team finishes in the standings to see what they do at expansion time because, like Enstrom needs to go yesterday, not because of his skill, but because of this, expansion draft. Because you need to protect Myers, Byfuglien, and Truman.
Well,
and who are the
you-
fans going to yell out to shoot now?
You either protect
Come on.
you either protect Toby or you protect 3 extra forwards.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you gonna do?
Exactly.
Right?
That. Then the other option comes in. Well, what if they trade Buff? What if they trade Myers? What if they move one of those right side guys?
right now.
What?
Can you?
No, I know. But
I'm just
What if they
saying.
leave Myers open,
they
like
could.
unprotected?
That is a
Take a
bold move.
take a gamble that maybe Vegas won't take a guy who's been injured for the last year and a
I
half.
think Vegas, like I was listening to Steve Dangle podcast, they were talking about.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, me neither.
Who?
Exactly. Ottawa's thinking about trying to trade Phaneuf, if not ask him to waive his no move so they don't have to protect him.
Mm.
Vegas would be fantastic for him. His wife, Alicia Cuthbert, films out of Burbank, California,
There you go.
which is only a few hours away from Vegas, and they already own a home in L.A. And
It
he could be your
works.
captain. He'd clearly be your captain. No one with that much
He'd
experience.
have a lot of veteran experience.
Yeah.
That's
Maybe
also
the Jets asked Toby to waive his no trade then.
Did this? I don't know if this came up
That's
in the podcast last week. I don't know how it's going to work out, but apparently I read somewhere that Vegas has the opportunity to be a part of this year's trade deadline.
Yeah, in terms of picks.
Pick trade,
Yeah.
right? That's it? So, they couldn't be
they
like...
They can't acquire Christopher Stieg like
Okay.
I want them to.
Okay.
So
Vegas has acquired
So they
Christopher
can't,
Stieg.
claim Devin Setoguchi off waivers right now and be like, he's our guy. We got a former 30-goal scorer. We have a former 30-goal scorer.
I actually met someone owned a Vegas Golden Knights hat.
Yes.
One of
Yes,
500
I
in
saw
the world.
dude, the week after they announced their team name, I saw someone at a Moose game with a hoodie.
What?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Oh, but Vegas Golden
Legit.
Knights have officially their first celebrity fan, Bryce Harper. Oh, top-notch guy to have to cheer for your team. I'm just being biased because he's very good at baseball.
He picked them over the Washington Capitals, and he plays for the Washington Nationals.
Yeah, but he's from Vegas,
I know,
so like
I know,
hometown pride,
obviously.
right?
But
Well, that's like
people were
Kevin
pissed.
Durant cheers for the Washington Redskins and that baseball.
You mean the
team.
Washington Football Club?
Sure. Yeah.
No racism on this show.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about the Cleveland Indians?
No, Cleveland baseball team.
Okay. Well, either way, like it's hometown pride.
Yeah, you
I don't
probably
have
still
any.
think it's.
I don't have any
You
of
probably
it.
think it's the North Dakota Fighting Sioux still. You.
It is.
Racist.
It's Sioux
You
forever.
racist.
I was a part of that Sioux Forever chant, and I was wearing a Golden Gopher hoodie. And then I forgot I was wearing a Golden Gopher hoodie, and the guy beside me had some glares. And this was about 10 minutes after you told me that. What was that? The chant again? Oh, the Minnesota Golden Gophers are full strength. Always were! Always will be! Scared the shit out of me at the game. Like, I almost jumped out of my seat. Oh, yeah, it's terrifying. Everybody. Well, except the Sioux fans. And they were more entertaining. I like both of them equally. They're like children to me. Anyways.
I think it is far fetched to think that Dustin Bufflin will be moved, or even Toby Enstrom. But it's just gonna be
Keep my
interesting to see
fingers
how it
crossed for
unfolds.
Enstrom.
Keep my fingers crossed that this team does something, because in 6 years, sure they executed a pretty big trade getting rid of Evander Kane, but really other than that,
that
they
was
have
like
been
gun
so
to your head. You better make a move though.
Yeah,
like,
it was so stagnant.
on.
They've been the most quiet team.
though.
We
no,
did.
I know.
But that trade,
like,
even now, like the year after it happened, people were raving about how good it was for the Jets. Last year, they were raving about how good it was for the Jets. Now the articles are like, well, I don't know who that trade was really better for now. Because the Jets have gone to shit.
But it's not about that. It's
I'm
the
just
players
saying-
that you got in return.
I'm just
Evander Kane's on the trade block in Buffalo right now.
Yeah, but he's having a pretty good year, actually.
he's always on the trade block.
Yeah, he is. They're talking
I'm
about
just
how
saying.
he could actually be a fit in Vancouver.
As much as, like,
Hey, he's got less letters than Bo Horvat.
he's got vowels, too.
He's got 2 vowels.
What's that happening?
But
Good work.
no, sorry, Dan. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I'm
That
just
was
saying,
fine.
like, that shows you the Jets have stumbled so much that people are now questioning that trade.
That's fair.
I mean, I still think it was a good deal.
Okay, you got rid
But-
of one banged up defenseman who always gets hurt for another banged up
You
defenseman
got
who
Drew
always gets
Stafford, who's been, this year's rough, but
formidable.
Tyler Myers.
Well, Stafford's just getting old. He's done.
Yeah.
Um,
You got Jack Rosalick with your first round pick. You got Brendan Lemieux, not even in the league yet. Armia was a throw-in, and he might be the best player right now out of that deal. So I mean, not bad.
But what you got with that deal is you got a headache off your team, and the team seemed to come together. And right now, there's something. I think part of it has to be in that room. I don't think that room is as cohesive as it was when they were on their playoff run. Something is going on in there, and I don't know what it is.
Think about okay, I know this dates back to last year.
Maybe Andrew Ladd
No,
was
but
the right guy. in the
Andrew
room.
Ladd being just having him as a leader. Clearly, everyone knew he was a leader. He had been there. He had done it. Bufflin, I don't know how he works in that room, but he seems kind of like a quiet guy, lead by example. That's fine.
He controls that dressing room. That is his dressing room.
Yeah, I know, but if you step out of line against Dustin Bufflin, really, if
He's gonna throw
Bufflin
your
wasn't
tracksuit
on
in the
that,
shower.
I think the Hawks still would have won that cup if Buff wasn't on that team.
Well, we talked about it last week.
Yeah, but
There were two
anyways,
But he
there's different
neutralized Chris Pronger.
But honestly,
Does Wheeler hold people accountable as much as Andrew Ladd did, or as much as that whole leadership group did? I don't know.
We talked about it all last year. How it's Blake Wheeler. It was Blake Wheeler's team last year.
Yeah, but in
It was-
front of the cameras there's Blake Wheeler's team. We don't see what's behind
but
those doors.
maybe
That's
leading
true.
by example. You watch, honestly, if Dustin Bufflin, if he leads the locker room and if his on ice play is leading by example, I think you have something to be worried about.
That's what I
If
was
Blake
getting.
Wheeler's on ice play is leading by example, I think you're fine. Because I mean, honestly, he almost every game he gives 100%. He's one of the few guys that does.
But sometimes leading by example doesn't. If there's no cohesion in the group, leading by example doesn't really work.
Honestly, making the playoffs 2 years ago, as great as it was, probably was a bad thing for them because expectations were too high.
Yeah, that's fair.
And they haven't progressed nearly as fast as.
What year is this that we're in? 6?
6. They actually, like, honestly, like, I think I heard on the radio the last 2 or 3 weeks, like the last 2 or 3 weeks, their record right now is, like, identical to last year. They're basically the same team, like, points-wise.
And they really haven't changed anything.
So they haven't gotten worse, but they haven't gotten better.
And they've got a generational winger who's going to probably be one of the best goal scorers in the league.
Well, and you just look what Ehlers is doing.
Well, I mean, Ehlers is quietly, he's probably the most underrated player in the league this year because no one talks about him.
One of for sure.
Yeah, because no one talks about him, and he's got almost 50 points, I think.
Yeah.
Well,
Every
time he's on the ice, he's driving the play.
Yeah.
Well, think about last year though. He was like the sensational, like in terms of like his play, what he brought. It was so new to the Jets, and then he kind of got overshadowed by, oh my God, Patrick Laine. So now he's not getting like getting the number 1 pairing. He's getting number 2 or number 3 some nights, and it's like, wow. But he's going to turnstile anyone who isn't a number 1 or 2 defenseman.
Okay, if you look at it right now, and was it? Okay, I think it was Dave Nonis. It might not have been.
Okay.
If you're Dave Nonis and you're stepping up to that podium in 2014, and you're picking between Ehlers and Nylander, who are you picking?
Nylander. I'd still do Nylander. Definitely.
Ehlers, but that's because I'm a Jets fan and I'm.
But it's
But Nylander can play center. It's the only reason why
it's easy to see the fact now that Ehlers is in his second year and he's top 15 in the league in points. Like, I mean, it's easy to say that now.
But in that draft, Nylander was playing against men. He was playing in the Swedish Elite League and putting up numbers, like top line numbers as a 17, 18-year-old. Ehlers, sure, he was dominating the junior route, but he was also on a powerhouse Halifax Mooseheads.
Well, that was not a good team.
He had Drouin with
Drouin,
the second,
shred the piss out of
the year after.
But like his draft year, they tore the hell out of that league.
Him and Drouin together was.
But
gross.
okay, all I'm saying is if you're back at it, it's like there's still such a toss-up because even during the draft it was a toss-up. Who do you take in that position? Because Nylander had played with men, but he's a little bit smaller. Ehlers a little bit bigger, but they both seem to have that thing that makes the puck kind of attracted to them, and they do incredible things with the puck. And I think it's still a toss-up where. Like, those two players never get compared, which is absolutely hilarious. And they got taken one after another.
Yeah, because Nylander's like a step above. Have you seen how beautiful he is?
Well, I've seen that he looks like King Joffrey from Game of Thrones.
It's beautiful.
It's
beautiful.
Do you guys remember, like maybe, 07 to, 11, 12, when, Washington and Pittsburgh, those were the two teams?
Yeah.
Because they accumulated so many good prospects.
Yeah.
Because they were bad. Very bad.
For a long time.
But, honestly, give 5 years, that could be Winnipeg, Toronto.
Oh, would that be sweet?
I'm just saying, though.
It could.
Just look at the potential on both teams. I'll give the Leafs their due. That's they have a young team, but they're, they have the attitude. They don't have the attitude of a young team. And it works.
But I think the other thing is they have...
Right?
Yeah.
They have everybody... I think the room there, I think the room dynamic... I'm a coach. I'm in the dressing room. The first year coaching... is so different from this year. It's 100, and it's the effort you see on the ice and what the room is like. The room when I coached for my first year is completely different than the room I had this year. And the effort on the ice the first year I was there is 10 times more than it is this year. And a lot of it has to do with the room, in my opinion.
Like complacency?
Not complacency, just how the room is. Like, Matt's been in plenty of dressing rooms. When you're a cohesive group in a dressing room, you go out and you're just, especially when you're a competitive form. I don't think beer league has its competitive moments, but I still think it's all fun and games in a room. But there's when you're playing, and Dan can attribute to this as well because you were on teams that were very good when we were growing up. When you have a solid, when you have everybody on the same page in the room, it shows on the ice. When everyone knows when it's time to joke around, time to be serious, time to listen to your coach, time to work and practice. When you've got everyone working as one unit, it is so much easier to get the job done. And I think people were listening to Paul Maurice so well in the first year, and I don't know if his message is getting lost in the shuffle or if some players are just kind of going off track. So I think part of it might have to do with the room. I might be wrong. You guys might know more than me, But I'm just saying part of it
totally
could be.
agree. Like I was like I never played high level hockey when I was younger, but I was on some teams where there was 1 year I was on a team and we lost 1 game all year, and that year we had fun, but everybody showed up and we were 13 and everyone showed up in shirt, tie, dress pants to games. It was very, everyone was on the same page, everyone followed the rules, everyone bought into what the coaches wanted to do, and that was the best year I've ever had playing competitive hockey. So
It's a shame you lost in the final. I'm just kidding. I know, I watched him win.
the 1 game we lost was in the final. No, playoffs.
Yeah.
Playoffs.
Okay.
The thing though with what Dan's like, and I've been in great rooms too, and I've won. I actually went to watch my nephew play hockey in the same rink that one of the rinks I grew up in. And
Did you?
They still have my trophies there. Still have plaques with my name. It was pretty cool.
Greg took a lot of selfies that day.
I didn't take any selfies. I just I basked in it. I was like, yeah, I won that.
I did
regardless of that.
Gold Jet.
Regardless of that, I think maybe where this team took a misstep was at the beginning of the year. They weren't the best, right? They had some moments where they faltered. They were pretty bad at the beginning of the year, and that might have thrown all their balance off for the entire year. Might have thrown that room a little bit of chaos, turn that room into some chaos, turn the practices into more catch-up. I feel that they've had to play catch-up all year.
That's because they didn't get a practice for fucking 3 months.
Okay, we can all agree at this point, the World Cup of Hockey and the way they do the scheduling the year that it follows is stupid. Because it's hurting. A lot of teams are, the Leafs, I think they have enough time for practice 3 more times this year. It's fucking ridiculous. Yeah. With NHLPA mandated days off, with the bye week in there, too much, too many games in too short of time.
Every 5 days is that mandated day off, right? Every 5 days.
The Edmonton Oilers got in trouble earlier this year
because they switched it.
Because they switched it without telling anyone, and they just they were supposed to have a mandated day off. And as a team, the players were like, "Let's hold the practice." Coaches weren't even there, and the team got fined. How dumb is that? Well, whatever. I know there's rules and stipulations so you don't get hurt, but
the schedule this year has been bad. But we need to move on.
Yep.
We spent lots of time talking and being somber about the Jets. So we know Claude Julien's been fired by the Boston Bruins. What does this mean moving forward for them?
Well, they're on a 3-game winning streak, so it might mean playoffs. And if they do make the playoffs,
they weren't too far to the playoffs to begin with.
And they were in a playoff spot when he got fired.
But the Leafs had a lot of games in hand.
They have 4 games in hand.
There's another team that fired their coach 2-3 weeks ago, the New York Islanders. They're suddenly very close to a playoff spot.
And they're surging as well.
I think they're 2 points out right now, aren't they?
And St. Louis as well. Well,
St. Louis is 4-1 right now.
Yeah.
So, the teams that have fired their coaches have gone on to play better, but that's been what hockey and football and basketball, it always is. For some reason, when you fire a coach, it lights a fire under everyone's ass.
Pittsburgh Penguins last year.
Well, case in point, Paul Maurice.
Exactly.
First full year, Jets had playoffs. 99 points, playoffs.
And it's the same thing with Dan Bylsma.
Yeah, and if it wasn't for Scheifele getting hurt, that at the end of the year, they were possibly in a playoff spot.
They could have made it that year.
That year where Paul Maurice came in halfway through.
I was there the first game where they played Phoenix, and they it looked like every player had turbo jets on their skates that day. They were just no more, no else.
Was that the year? Was that the year?
Fire the coach every year and a half.
That's when the Islanders. That was against the Islanders. He got hurt, right?
I couldn't tell.
Yeah, he went knee on knee with.
Yeah, I know it was the Islanders he got hurt, but I'm making sure that was the year.
Yeah, and then you were you're saying, they had Bylsma as well in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
The year they won, both years they won the cup, they made a coaching change.
So the next time Pittsburgh fires their coach, you know what that means.
Yeah, exactly.
It's another cup that year.
Put some money on it.
The Capitals, I think they scored something like 50 goals over the course of 10 games.
Well,
or 12
didn't
games
they
or
have
something.
more goals?
It actually might have been 9.
It might have been 9?
Disgusting.
Didn't they have more goals in 9 games than the Avalanche had in 2 months or something?
Yeah.
Is this Washington's year, finally?
You know what?
I'm not saying yes because I went all in on them last year, and what happened? I got effed.
I hope it is. You know what? I used to hate Ovechkin, but I hope he gets a cup. I want him to get that cup.
So
I really do.
It's their year unless they play Pittsburgh in the playoffs. If that happens, they're losing.
Yeah, guess what? It's going to happen because of scheduling. They're like, oh, Pittsburgh, Washington, first round. And then it'd be like, Philly, Toronto somehow. What? That doesn't even make sense. No, that's too bad. That's too bad.
You know how it's going to happen? You know how it'll randomly happen?
Philly will get Washington, Toronto will get Pittsburgh. And then they're going to play in the second round. And by that I mean Philly and Toronto are playing
Yeah,
in second.
somehow
Clearly,
it'll happen.
obviously.
Yeah.
No, but what I want to
Conference
mention,
final.
what I want to mention about Washington scoring so much, Ovi, 3-4 days ago now, held shotless for the first time in 315 games.
Which makes
That was-
Ray Bork holds the record for, I think it was something like 400 games.
360
Okay.
games. But hold on, last time Ovi was held shotless, March 12th, 2013. Oh, when I read that, I was like, oh my God, that's terrible.
Against who?
I don't know, but he's only gone shotless out of his 894 games played as of yesterday, 7 times.
And they still scored 5 goals.
Well, they showed a
'cause they-
graph. I was watching hockey on NBC. This was 2 weeks ago, during Sunday, and they showed like percentage of goal, like Capitals goals that Ovechkin scores. So I think it's been like 20% for the last 4 or 5 years, and then this year it's like 9.
Well, did you see?
Like if everyone else is scoring on that team, and it's not up to just Ovechkin.
Look at
So-
that, how that team's built. It
Yeah.
is disgusting.
Well, even like Andre Burakovsky, he was a highly touted prospect because he was one of the seniors when McDavid was joined the Otters. But he got drafted. He's out a month now because he broke his right hand. But did you see the cool story that happened to him?
He jumped in some guy's car, thought it was an Uber.
Because no, he thought it was the same car as the Uber that he ordered. So he
Oh,
got in
yeah.
the car, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And then they're like, "Wait, you're Andre Burakovsky. We'll drive you. Let's go." And he drove. It's so awesome. I was like, "Ah, that's so cool." How badass would that be? Like, say if you were an Uber driver and you pull up and like Ehlers and Line get in the car, and you're like, "Well, hello."
This is
Well, we don't have Uber in Winnipeg,
this
so
is
that wouldn't happen.
This is a total side story, but if you guys have like 10 minutes, YouTube Conan, Ice Cube, and Kevin Hart rent a Lyft car.
Okay.
It's basically like a version of Uber.
Yeah.
It's freaking hilarious.
think
Yeah,
I've
Lyft
actually
is a
seen
different
I
version.
think I've actually
It's
seen it.
so funny. So funny.
Okay.
Almost as good as when they try to get that that woman her driver's license. That one's funny, but the Lyft
They
car.
go to the pot shop
The
or
pot-
whatever.
Yeah.
My-
The
one of my
Lyft car
favorite-
is pretty good too.
One of my favorite ones in regards to that is when Shaq dresses up as a Lyft driver. It's either Lyft or Uber driver, and he's like in the car and he's talking to them. He's like, "You ever watch the NBA?" And then just like he like talks to them, and then like, "Holy shit, you're Shaq!"
And hard not to tell
I
me
just
Shaq
saw
is,
one
I don't
with
care.
Odell
Odell
Beckham.
Beckham Jr.
Except he's wearing
Yeah.
sunglasses and a toque, and like, I mean, most guys just have like a stylish beard sometimes. Anyways, and he's driving, and his mom calls him, and he goes by JR as the Uber driver or like driver. And then she's like, "Last thing, honey, did you go poo poo today?" And he's like, "Mom," and he like shuts her off, and the guy who's in the front seat loses his mind. He's like, "Did your mom just say that?" He's like, "No, it was a verbal tick."
Verbal tick.
Yeah, and then
Verbal
there's
tick.
oh, it's great. But anyways, sorry, go ahead.
No. I just want to move on
Yep.
to the Montreal Canadiens are heading into their nosedive that they went into last season because Carey Price has been less than stellar recently, and it's showing that this team might be as one-dimensional as everyone's thought. Either they're going to go big at trade deadline because their window is the next 2 years.
It's this year and next year. 'Cause then
And-
they have to re-sign Pacioretty and Price, which is not going to be fun for either of those guys. Well,
Yeah.
for the Canadians. They're going to have a great time. They're going to get paid.
Those guys are going to get a payday. So
That's my
Have
thing,
you-
though, is how are they both on such good contracts and this team is still, like, not... They're a good team, but that's because Price is so good. They're not a good team. They're not built well.
because
What is wrong with this
it's
team?
bad
That was
coaching,
proven last year.
bad coaching,
Exactly.
bad management
Yeah.
has been covered by great goaltending. Goaltending saves people's jobs
And
all the
if you-
time. Terrian and Bergevin should not be there.
Oh, and if you have a bit too much personality, they'll trade you out of town. So
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, well, somebody made the call. Well, Pacioretty made, or no, sorry, Carey Price said, "We've lost our identity to this." And then somebody put on Twitter, they said, your identity is in Nashville.
Yeah. Well, here's a fun fact about
Meaning PK Subban, for those who don't.
well, Carey Price, after winning the 2015 Vezina, he didn't get one vote in 2016, and he didn't even hit top 30 in save percentage for goalies with less than 25 games played because he was injured last year.
Yeah.
And Price, even at his best, obviously he's elite, but at 28, he's never had more than 2 consecutive above-average seasons.
But everyone talks about how amazing he is. But the other thing, too, is
Look at the teams he's on. He's like Jonathan Taylor on Team Canada. Yeah, sure. He's good because he's only lost 3, maybe 6 games total. Every goddamn team Taves is on for Team Canada, they can make A, B, and C team, and every Canada team would make playoffs because that's how good Canada is. Sorry, I'm just
Okay.
I'm just like Carey Price. He's an amazing goalie. Don't get me wrong, but he can't do it on his own, and that's what Greg's pointing out, and that's what everyone noticed in
It's a
Montreal.
one-dimensional team. And his play has overshadowed everything else that's wrong with that team. That team is fundamentally bad. And when Price wasn't super stellar at the beginning of the year, like he was still very good, like a 934, I believe he was at. They had Radulov going, they had Pacioretty going, they had Desharnais, they had Galchenyuk, they had everyone going. But you see, as the season wears on, guys start to fluster, falter a little bit, fall back, and I don't think this team is built for longevity. I think that they could. Their max is like the conference championship. They could get there, and then they would start to falter. I don't think they're built for long runs of sustainability. They're not a sustainable team. They have lots of holes. They have lots of holes to fill, but I don't know who you.
3 years ago, when they played the Rangers in the conference final, that was their year.
But Price got hurt.
I hate that. Okay, I agree.
It was, though.
No, I agree, but like I don't like this show.
They were actually a formidable opponent. Like if you watch that series, the Rangers had a hard time. Like they beat them, but they had a hard time beating them.
Yeah, and then LA
bent them over backwards. But
LA's bent every team over backwards in the Cup Finals.
But that's
I'm
also
still convinced.
depth.
I'm still convinced. In 2012, they lost Game 5 on purpose so they could win at home in Game 6.
They did, of course,
Because
they
they won like 8-0
They were
in Game
playing
6.
the Devils, Dan. I had to pick the Devils because of my hate for LA. I remember that because Dan and I usually pick against each other for the last bunch of years. And like, there's 3 teams I will pick against for. No, 3 teams I'll never pick: Detroit, Devils, and the Kings. I had to pick one of them. And I was like, well, damn it, I'll take the Devils. And Dan's like, you're
Do we all
silly.
remember how the Devils got there? It was
they
like
beat Philly.
No, they beat the Rangers in overtime. I think it was Game 7. It was either Game 6 or Game 7.
To make it to the Cup Final.
To make it to the Cup Final.
Yeah.
Adam Henrique just like, it was a scramble in front of the net and he like poked the puck
You know
in.
what's funny? I remember that because we had I don't know if you were on.
We had a hockey game.
We had a hockey game because I walked in at Boston Pizza and I was sitting with Dan and they're like, oh, and the New Jersey Devils are going to the Stanley Cup Final. And I'm like,
everyone's like, fuck.
Like,
No, but the reason why everyone said fuck is everyone knew the Devils sucked. Like, they somehow got to the Cup Final.
and the
didn't have
LA
to get
Kings
there.
are like, chugga. Like, they're just so good.
Well,
That was the year the Kings had lost 2 games going into the Cup final.
yeah.
They were, 12-2?
Well, because
they were 8th seed and they were like, we're actually number 1. We threw the last 10 games of the season.
Because they steamrolled through Vancouver. Then I believe they played the Blues. And
Yep, they did because I
steamrolled
picked
them.
the Kings.
And then played the Arizona Coyotes.
They swept the Canucks.
They
and
were
beat-
Phoenix then.
Well,
I mean,
whatever.
Like, they are the Arizona
They swept the
Coyotes.
Canucks. They beat the Blues and Coyotes in 5 each. And then the Cup
No,
final
they
was-
swept the Coyotes.
Did they?
I thought
Yeah,
they
because
swept
I
the
remember because
Coyotes.
Coyotes beat Chicago. And everyone's like,
And then beat
What
Nashville.
just happened? What
They
just
beat
happened?
Nashville and Chicago in that year.
Did Nashville play was that the Henrik Zetterberg like Shea Weber shove your face into the glass
It might
and
have
and the ref's like, I saw nothing. I don't know what you're talking
Yes,
about.
that was
saw
the year.
I don't know what
nothing."
you did.
But here's the other thing, guys. One thing we're reminiscing is great playoff series is stuff that can't happen now because you're locked in your divisions. Arizona would not play Nashville or Chicago unless they were the wild card seed.
Dan pointed this out last year. Didn't the Sharks win the Central Division last year?
Yeah,
Be-
they're a Central Division champion.
yeah, that's silly. Try
Were they?
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure one
Because they
team won not their division last year
Because
you play right. You play like the
Or
first.
who did San Jose play in the conference final? Didn't they play Nashville in the conference?
Blues.
Blues.
They
That's
beat
right.
Nashville in the
So no, they
second
didn't.
round.
They didn't win the
Well,
Central.
but if you won your first one, wouldn't you?
They didn't win the Central.
Oh no, okay.
no.
Well, you could.
It might have been.
Nashville
no,
could have won the Pacific, I think, if they
Oh,
beat
okay,
Yeah,
San
that's what it was.
Either way,
Nashville
that's like
Because the
try
Blues were the
explaining that.
Central champs and the Sharks were the Pacific champs. And they
Who did
played
Nashville beat to get to play against
Ducks?
Ducks.
Yeah,
That's right.
definitely.
I picked that one.
Because like Ducks,
So did I.
I picked the because we all had I had the Ducks going to the final.
No, I didn't.
I did not.
I did not either.
I definitely did.
I had
Nashville
did.
beating
I'm not
them.
saying
I had
you
the
did.
Wild,
didn't
you?
The Wild, maybe. Either way, I wasn't cheering for Nashville, and then I was like, I'm in again. I can't cheer against Shea. Come on, guys.
So, what? Do you have anything else we need to do?
I do.
want to share a quick story.
Yeah.
I've got some audio to play for you guys.
Well, we forgot to mention last night, Gustav Nyquist
Oh,
speared a guy in the face. Jared Spurgeon got him right on the left cheekbone. Spurgeon didn't leave the game, but Gustav Nyquist only got a double minor. They didn't toss him from the game, which
How
is
do
like
you not get tossed for
UFC
that?
level bull crap. But I'll leave that for another day. But like, no, like it's just he's two hands, jab, bam, turned around and just right in the face.
It was like he was taking
a shovel.
a hay bale.
Hay bale, there you
and
go.
throwing
Pitchfork,
like,
that's what we're looking for.
Did
Yeah.
you hear the
Boom.
audio of him after the game?
No.
Oh, it was totally unintentional. I didn't mean to do it.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
sure.
he looked, lined
Okay.
up and did it. He did the Duncan Keith
Yeah.
lying on my back spin slash.
That
or
was great.
what
That
he did
was
to Jeff
great.
Carter,
You
or
shut
what he
your
did
mouth.
to Jeff Carter in the playoffs, where he just like fish hooked him
Yeah.
from behind.
Oh, that wasn't. He didn't try to make it look like he didn't do anything.
No, he
straight
just
up
looked at him.
like,
He lined it up. And
But that was the
bam!
same thing Nyquist did.
But-
he made sure that he was going to hit Spurgeon's
yeah.
face.
So Nyquist
sure.
was offered an in-person hearing, which means minimum 5 games.
Yep.
I would say if he doesn't get at least 10 games, they have to fire some people because
But
just
he's never
how many
had an
times
offense
is-
before.
No, I know.
How many times
I-
has Chris Pronger done this in his career? Chris Pronger.
pitchfork the guy in the face.
Yeah.
I don't think
How many
any.
slew foots?
Okay, then you're not
has
gonna
Brad
get any
Marchand
sympathy
gotten
from
away
the
with?
How many times has he stepped on somebody?
Damn. But I'm just saying you have to for stuff like if people. Okay, if Brad Marchand finds out he's allowed to do this, people are gonna go blind. There's no two
You
ways
can't
around
let
it.
Brad Marchand know.
Yeah.
Okay.
He, honestly, 10 games is what he should get.
Okay,
Okay, so
is
we're
where
set-
my line
He'll
is.
get 6 or 7.
But I
Let's
don't
set
think he
the
will
over
get
under.
there.
Let's set the over under right now at 8, and we'll go around the room.
Okay.
Over and under.
Dan.
8.
Should get over, will get under.
Over.
Under.
Over.
Okay.
I believe this is a 10 game
and
suspension.
It was his
Speaking of-
first offense. He's not
What
gonna
is?
get-
What else is? If
And-
this is in 10 games, you set a precedent. Otherwise, next time he'll be like, "Well, I'm only going to get 15."
Well,
It's
Brad
my second
Marchand gets
offense."
what? 12 grand per slew foot? It's not bad. I'd do it a couple
And then he
times.
comes back the next game after suspension and 4
with
points.
somebody.
And he's
Yeah.
like, "Woo, feel good."
And then he slew with somebody that game too. Just
Strowman?
Probably.
I think it was Strawman. Yeah, he just came by and just does not look at Strawman once. Just kind of
That's the
glides
key.
and,
Don't look.
and then just takes out his legs. Oh, I didn't mean to do that.
Speaking of, do you have anything? Well, I was gonna say of Detroit, Mike Ilitch, very long time
yes,
owner,
he
passed
passed
away at the age of 87. He was owner of the Wings, the Detroit Tigers, and Little Caesars Pizza. So he will not get to see the opening of the dojo, which kind of sucks. But I'm sure
The dojo.
The
I love
dojo?
how we
The
call
new,
it the dojo.
the new
Oh,
Residence
the
Arena
dojo.
Oh, the
yeah,
dojo.
got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, that sucks.
Should be Gordie Howe.
He was
It should
huge
be
in the
called the Gordie Howe Memorial Arena.
He was
Gordie Howe Dojo.
he was huge in the
Community.
community. He was great for hockey. That sucks.
It
I know
does.
I personally didn't know him, but I did represent him because I worked at Little Caesars for a bitsy.
That's right, you did.
Yeah, and I remember the owners were Red Wing fans, and I'm like,
I-
is it because you have to? They're like, no, we like Detroit. I'm like, you guys are lying. You're lying. I won't do it. Not even if you give me a raise. Like,
You know what the
you're
best part
Detroit.
about having Cam at Little Caesars? We got free pizza all the time.
I don't remember getting
I
free
never
pizza.
did.
No, I wasn't friends with you yet,
No.
but I was making a joke, so you.
Well, they
My
always.
sister used to bring home pizza all the time because
Well,
whenever
no,
you have extra
I,
pizza,
yeah,
she
I
just bring
brought it home. I never like when I was.
Thanks
working,
for
I
friendship.
We didn't
Dick.
know each
Someone
other.
told me, I've
You knew where I
maybe Cam can confirm or deny this. I've heard that Little Caesars nutritionally is the most unhealthy pizza you can order.
I don't look at that. I just.
I
eat
wouldn't
it.
doubt it.
I'm just saying, I heard that from.
For
I know the
$5.
insider tradings on how to make good pizzas. Like we're like.
I really hope the Red
Crazy
Wings-
style your pizza. Insider trading, ask for crazy style. If they don't know what it is, it's where you get your so you know garlic butter? They garlic butter the crust and then put Parmesan just on the crust. Yeah, doesn't cost anything extra. Pro tip for everyone. That
Nice.
works in the States too.
Nice.
It's good.
Okay, you got audio for us from the best ref ever?
Yeah, have you guys heard this?
I
might have.
might
The
have
best penalty
pull it
call
right
you'll
over.
ever
If you
hear.
do it. I hope there's a commercial.
Oh, I really hope it's like a.
Splash.
Please be a
Oh
commercial.
yeah, play.
It's definitely going to be an ad. Lots of crowd.
Yeah, it's
Number 65 for Montreal, number 47 for Boston. Both guys, 5 minutes each for fighting!
He has a career in the WWE.
is that the same guy? You can't do that. You can't do that.
Well, how about the ref that just said "fuck" when his
you.
mic was on?
Twice.
Yeah,
Fuck you. Fuck you. 2 minutes. And like he doesn't even like notice that his mic's on.
Yeah.
And maybe he does.
Anything else for us, Cameron?
Oh yeah. Henrik Lundqvist, fastest goalie to 400 wins, 727 games played. That's pretty
That's 'cause the
incredible.
Rangers have always been.
You know who will never do that?
Who's that?
Any goalie who plays for the Leafs.
I thought you were gonna say Philadelphia. or the Jets.
or
We're all
Winnipeg.
losers in net.
We all suck.
We all bunch of suck. We got Patrick's Parade.
I could
Are we going to do the deli? Yeah, we'll do the deli.
Okay, before we go to the deli.
Well, I'll open up the deli.
Okay, before we go to the deli, I have a
Yep.
story to tell
Go.
about a certain coach.
Uh-oh.
So, one of my friends had their uncle played in the NHL. I'm not going to say who it was, and they played for John Tortorella. And I straight up asked him. I said, "What are your thoughts on John Tortorella?" And he said, "He was my favorite coach I've ever had." And I got into the question, like, why? Why is that? He said he's the only guy that I've really ever played for that shows honest caring for everybody in the room. It doesn't matter who you are, honest caring. But the reason why he gets so much flack is because he's not afraid to say what's on his mind. He's not afraid to tell you where you stand with him. Mm-hmm. So he'll piss people off. And star players that normally get to prounce around untouched, he'll yap at them and make them work harder. Because he believes that everyone's on the level playing field and that no one is above anyone. So if you're doing a drill improperly, if you're jerking off or whatever, you know.
No, yeah. We get it.
Jerking around in practice
Right
or
in the
whatever.
middle of practice,
Yeah.
just sitting there.
Well,
sorry, coach, got to finish first.
He never coached Joe
Hey,
Flynn.
what did I tell you about that?
Trying to tell a story here.
Yeah, go.
Sorry.
He holds you accountable.
He holds you accountable, and a lot of players don't like that because they've pounced around their entire careers being, God's gifts to hockey.
But coaches treat him like that. And
Exactly.
You can't have that.
And he's one of the few guys that doesn't do it, doesn't put up with their shit, and he really, really respects him. One coach he doesn't like is Mike Keenan.
Iron Mike.
I can
I wonder
actually-
why.
I can actually attest that. I know just talking to someone who is friends with Dale Weiss, Winnipeg player.
Yeah.
And,
Dutch Gretzky.
Dale Weiss played for John Tortorella the year he was in Vancouver, and he said he was the most demanding coach he's ever had, but probably the best coach he's ever had.
Because he holds you accountable, and he'll
He
probably
expects
praise
a lot
you
of you,
and
and,
say,
and he's not afraid to tell you if you screw up.
Exactly.
But
And yeah, this guy still talks to him sometimes, and it's nice to see. Obviously, you don't.
he's a friggin' genius. No morning skate. Look how good his team is.
Yeah.
What?
They haven't had a morning skate all year, and he thinks they should get rid of it.
That, yeah, he implemented that for his team this year.
Yeah.
So no morning. Oh yeah, well that's stupid. They just show up and doodle around.
Yeah, and that's what he basically said. It's stupid.
That's awesome. I like that.
I'm with him on that though.
The media hates that though.
I like it.
All right.
Well, yeah,
Nothing.
because that's
when they
media
get their
availability.
quotes and they all ask the same questions.
Hockey is
All right.
sorry, but hockey media is so boring sometimes.
Sports media is terrible.
Yeah, it's
It's
and we're part of it.
Oh
No, we're
yeah,
not.
for sure.
Yeah,
we
no,
don't
we're
want
not.
credentials.
No, we don't have any. That's why we have fun on the show.
We
We
are
can say
honest.
fuck when we want to.
I saw Dustin Byfuglien in real person on Saturday night. He walked by, and I literally told my friends as he's walking by, I'm like, if you guys say anything about Last Man In podcast and what I've ever said about Dustin Byfuglien, I won't be able to tell you anything because he'll kill me. I was terrified. I was like, no, don't say
Sorry,
anything.
what did you say to me on the phone today
What?
about Dustin Byfuglien? That you would be more scared of me than him.
Yeah, you're physically bigger than Dustin Byfuglien. Greg is. I'm not kidding. For sure. Dustin's wider, but Greg's for sure more imposing. There's no way how tall do they say he is?
6'5".
No way, 6'8". I'll show you a picture of my friend afterwards, who is 6'2", standing beside Dustin Byfuglien. Dustin Byfuglien's maybe an inch and a half taller than him. Not big. I know that's 6'3.5", but still, Dustin Byfuglien's not that big.
Yeah.
Nice guy though. Anyways, comments. Swift Bass
I'd be
Beats.
more afraid of Dustin Byfuglien than you. I don't care.
Yeah,
Swift Bass
because you have done some very questionable things.
So,
to me.
okay,
My bitch.
Swift Bass Beats
you.
commented,
I don't
I would
want
hate-
to hurt you.
All right. I would hate to see Duchesne leave, but I can see him in Detroit. Next comment, Jordy Longbottom. Just hearing Myers will be out 6 to 8 weeks. Maybe the Jets trade for a shutdown guy. Kind of talked about that. Racist Fan Rocks 4 commented, undercover update number 2. I don't know where the first one was. Kenny Omega's the best wrestler in the world, getting a 6-star match. Cam defends Luke fast. Tom Brady got put on the list of Jericho. He did. That was hilarious.
I
was
lost.
giggling, yeah.
That's so good.
Insider trading. Jericho on WWE Monday Night Raw calls himself GOAT, greatest of all time. So now that people are calling Tom Brady the GOAT, he has a list and he put him on the list. Jordy Longbottom also commented, I also think they rely on Buff too much. He leads the D in time on ice. Once Myers comes back, well, it won't be anymore. He will eat up some of those minutes and enable Buff to hopefully live up to the contract. He is a game changer. Luke commented 2 comments.
Oh, so Cameron,
You wait!
I've read these
Haven't
comments.
watched this vid yet. We'll do so now. And I'm assuming you watched and then comment.
Well, yeah, because no, the thing is
Wasn't
while you're
disappointed by
uploading-
Gudis banter in last vid. And then he also commented, I also have a confession. I am not Cam. Screw you guys. I don't know who this guy is. He's my friend, though.
You know who would say that?
Next
Cam.
comment.
Cam,
Yeah,
you
sure,
wouldn't say
yeah.
that, you can't.
But we are friends. And he asked me to post here to provide him some backup. See, now Luke's sewering me because I'm not Luke. And now he's making me look like a
And
douche.
You know who also wouldn't be able to listen to the podcast? Cam, because he was on it. He'd have to go back and
Yay,
listen
just
to it again.
wait. Flyers Nation derives strength in numbers. In parentheses, brotherly love. No, I'm saying. Sorry, buddy. Love you. That dude who made 1 million comments on the last episode, that guy is Cam. See? Not me. I'm not Luke. God, and he's sewering me now. There's never gonna the only way I've been literally daydreaming about this. The only way that we know that Luke is in there, I can bring in any random person and say, hey, that's Luke. If we physically have him on the show, you whisper in his I'll go upstairs, I'll hide, cover my ears, blast music. You whisper a word, Luke has to comment that tweet it at you guys before the
If
show
he
is
comments
over.
on the YouTube page while we're recording, I might believe you.
It's
I
impossible.
might.
But then
No,
that would
It is impossible
no,
because it's you. I know.
you guys
Yeah.
are dicks.
Yeah,
Come
because
on,
he could
Patrick's
go,
parade. This is
no,
bullshit.
because he could go to
Luke
that
isn't
podcast.
me. It's not me. I want to be friends with Luke, but it's not me. It's not me. There's no way around this.
Hey, Luke, I'm just gonna let you know
Luke,
right
do
now.
you have
No,
Twitter? I
no.
can't even say that because then you'll be like, oh my god, it's a day old. Cameron made it. Don't make Twitter. If you don't have Twitter, don't make it because they're going to sewer me some more.
This is just like that movie Split. Luke
There's
is one more
there's
guy.
no way I'm winning
Don't
this.
spoil the movie. I haven't seen it.
I'm like Captain Sully. I know I'm going to lose my... Anyways, I won't ruin the end
No.
of the movie.
Wow.
What?
You have-
Spoiler
you have
alert.
Dreams of planes crashing.
No, I know I'm gonna get sewered by the
Oh.
the company or whatever, like the airline. Like he knows he's gonna lose the case.
I've seen how much Tom Hanks runs in that movie. You are not selling.
Tom Hanks is a
Wow.
Tom Hanks is a terrible every guy. He's a terrible leader. Like he's a captain of a ship. He gets taken over by pirates. He's an airplane. It crashes. He's a part of
He
Polar
saves
Express,
everybody.
and his train crashes. So it goes to nowhere. That no one knows where it is. Anyways, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, Luke, just tell you how much Cam loves the Philadelphia Flyers. He's wearing a Toronto Maple Leaf shirt
And a
right
Flyers hat right now,
No,
and it's a
Toronto
Phil
Maple Leaf
Kessel
shirt.
player tee. It's a
now.
jersey.
It's actually a Toronto Maple Leaf jersey.
Yep, I own a Kessel jersey
I know you
Leafs
do.
as well. It's
I watched
beautiful.
you wear it the other day.
You sold it to me.
I
so
did
yeah.
sell it to you because I'm a real fan.
Okay, Patrick's parade.
Detroit, Dallas,
Wait, we're doing 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
the same as we always do.
Okay.
Detroit, Dallas, Winnipeg, Arizona, Colorado, as always. Oh God. Colorado's gonna guys. they're
Detroit's gonna
We've
get
been
first,
doing-
and they're gonna be like.
We've been doing this wrong all year. Dallas, Winnipeg, Vegas, Arizona, Colorado. They enter as the third pick.
I know they do.
I think they just have the same odds. They
They
don't
just
enter
have
as
the
it. They have the
They
same
have the
odds.
same odds as third, but we all
Yeah.
know they're winning it.
So if they don't get drawn, where do they finish?
No, they can't be lower than 5.
You get drawn.
So they're in the
Everyone
top
gets
5.
drawn.
Vegas is in the top 5.
I hope Detroit gets.
So Vegas
I hope
is part of
Vegas
Patrick's
gets 5
parade?
and Detroit gets bumped to 6.
Yeah.
And then they'll trade their 6th and be like, oh look, we got 5 number 1D.
You know what? I'm really looking forward to Jacob Chitrin just destroying it in Arizona and Detroit looking at
Oh.
themselves in a few years and being
Wow.
upset about that.
While we're going around,
Well, how about Colorado not take him? You have no defenseman.
I don't know why they didn't take him.
I was
He's
with
a
you.
Yost.
Yeah.
Tyson Yost.
Oh yeah.
Whoa,
that's right.
bold move,
He's
guys.
a good player, but you have no D prospects. I think they have Big Raz. I don't even know how to say his name. Never heard of
Big
him.
Ra?
Big Ra.
Chris Bygris? Oh,
Bygris.
he's out my age. No, that's
Yeah.
not a prospect.
Exactly.
No, you don't want him. All right,
That's
guys,
no defenseman.
we're going around the table. Plans for Valentine's Day. Go.
I
Greg.
work tomorrow.
Perfect. Are you going to eat a candy to treat yourself?
I have a hockey game with you.
Hockey game. Dan, Where are we
Waiting
going?
for my girlfriend to get off work, and then we order pizza.
what kind of pizza?
Carbone, because we have gift cards.
Heart-shaped pizza?
No.
Actually, I'd be pissed if I
I'd have
got
to pay
heart-shaped
money
pizza.
for that.
No, but also, you lose.
And I'm on,
Shape.
yeah. And I'm also on the fence about watching the Jets game. We'll see.
Oh, they play tomorrow?
Yep.
Oh, Dallas.
Dallas.
Okay. All right, Greg, send us home.
If you want to comment, I'm just kidding.
Jeez, did you sound more miserable? Cripes.
I'm upset this is over for another week. No.
You sound like your goldfish died.
No, guys. Toronto's losing again. And I'm not happy
Oh,
about it.
yeah?
Are they actually?
No, they're not playing tonight, but they're just starting to lose again, which I don't like. I like this whole them winning a lot thing.
Greg liked it better when Austin Matthews had more points in less games than Patrick Laine. Now they have the same amount of points, and Laine has 5 less games.
Dan really wanted that one on the podcast, sir. He was halfway out of air, but he kept powering through it.
It's okay, Mitch Marner's a very good.
Travis Connect is out 4 to 6 weeks. Okay, I'm the loser of the pity party. I win.
If you want to know
I am
where to
the winner.
find us? Our Twitter is @LastMinutePC. You can always email the show @lastminutepc@gmail.com.
Luke, that'd be great if you could.
You can always. Why?
There's no proof.
You're
I'm
good at-
not Luke.
You can email from that
Fine,
email.
email it. Go ahead. What's the email? lastminutepc@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And where do you
You
find
would
us?
know that.
Where would Luke listen, Greg?
Either on YouTube or anywhere you get your podcast, whether that
Beautiful.
be Google Play, iTunes, or the podcast app on your phone.
This is the worst and best thing ever because there's a new Flyers fan I've never met. But you
You
guys
know there's
think
tons
of me.
of there's tons of Flyer fans because there's not that many Flyers fans that love Radko Gudas.
Luke, if you're from Winnipeg, no, seriously, if Luke's from Winnipeg, because this is not me, I will, DM me. I want a picture with you at the Flyers game. I got to get a video. I got to do everything in my way to prove that it's not me. At the Flyers game on the 24th of March, Winnipeg, if he's going. We're doing this. I'm not Luke.
No?
No.
Hashtag I'm not Luke.
I think I'm going to get a tattoo. I'm not Luke.
I think if this podcast reaches certain levels,
Yep.
big levels
That's
where
a
we
shirt?
make money from it. No. Well, yeah, you could get an I'm Not Luke shirt.
Yeah, for sure.
The other shirt I really want to make is Wrong with Confidence. Regardless of that, we should all get. You should get an I'm Not Luke tattoo. Plus,
Wow, that's bold.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. If we reach that level where we make money from this,
Yeah.
and then I'll get.
Just any money?
And
I thought of a great
certain money.
sponsorship, Skittles, too.
I would love Skittles. Skittles would be great.
We all love
Taste
Skittles.
rainbow.
Where are we getting the tattoo?
Where am
Where's
I
the tattoo
getting?
going?
Oh, it's not
Forehead.
on my bum.
Forehead.
Say,
No,
I'm not on one cheek
chest.
and then Luke on the right.
No,
Left
chest.
cheek.
Chest.
No. I'm not getting. I don't want a tattoo anyway. I don't have any piercings. I can't deal with a pierce. When I get a paper cut, I'm out for 3 days. I'm outie, guys. Why? Paper cuts. I'm out.
See, part of me wants a tattoo because I'm yeah, tattoos are cool. And then I'm going to look back on that. I'll be why the fuck did I spend money on it?
Do you not have a tattoo?
I do not have
I don't
a tattoo.
regret mine.
I know you don't regret yours because one says arm, the other one's just some shield.
I needed to make sure I knew what it was. Arm.
Mm-hmm. Dan, do you have a tattoo?
I don't.
I think you. Were
Do
you
you
ever
want
getting one?
I've been toying with the idea, maybe. One day.
Where would you get it?
And is it going to be Kovalchuk 71?
Yeah. Big picture of him. A big picture of him scoring, and then on the Florida goalie, and then there's Keith Ballard two-handing the goalie in the head. I'm going to get that on my arm.
There you go.
And he's gonna get a high, one where he turns his back and it's the motion of Keith Ballard swinging. Depending on where the sun's hitting him, it'll be really weird.
And then I'll get that game where the play's on in one end and Pavlik's passed out of the other end.
I was here watching that. When they're Andre Pavlik's down, and they catch him and he's face down, motionless. And you're oh my god, is he dead?
I hope so.
Why are we laughing at a guy who passed
Because it
out?
was
Because
so
he's fine now.
And I remember, I think we talked about this year one of the
Bad.
First game of the year, too.
I think year one on the podcast, someone, I'm certain Dan told me this, someone went to Andre Pavlik signing with that picture, and he signed it motionless, passed out on the ice. That's so awesome.
And the best part of that is somebody was I'm going to do this. Doesn't care what happens. He's if he signs this is something to be proud of.
Oh, it's hilarious.
move.
We
Man,
didn't
I
even know
would
that
frame
guy
that.
is.
I would frame that. I'd put it that there and
Yeah.
be guys, Andre Pavlik signed that. And he was passed out during that
And
moment.
no one would understand. Sports fans would get it right away and start laughing. But someone else, imagine just seeing someone face down in an autograph beside a picture. You don't know who that is. And you're hey, what is that? You don't want to know.
Yeah, but the thing is sports fans are just a different breed.
We're weird people.
We are weird people.
Yep.
And it's so funny, meeting people who aren't sports fans. How do you do that? I'm okay, well, what do you like? Well, I like keeping up with Kardashians. Okay, so your opinion is irrelevant.
My question is, to non-sports
You are no
fans,
longer a person.
Yeah, every time non-sports fans, I'm what do you do with your time?
They watch the Grammys that are terribly done, where mics aren't on, and
I didn't watch the
people
Grammys.
stop songs halfway through to restart them.
That was good on her. She was
It
key.
was.
I
It
heard
was.
about that.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's kind of what
I was watching wrestling, so
apparently it was just a debacle. And I honestly I have to give props to Adele for doing that because she wanted to do a good tribute for George Michaels, which I understand. But
what
over
happened? Did she just straight up
so
stop singing?
so what happened was she
out
was
of key.
singing one of George Michael's songs. I don't know what it's called. I wasn't a huge George Michaels fan.
Me neither.
I'm not a huge George Michaels fan. However, she was singing it and she was out of key. So she's like, "No, I gotta stop. I gotta do a proper tribute," and then started again, which it's a good moment. And instead of stopping the song and saying Trump sucks or something like that, she just restarted the song, which was good.
yeah.
Instead of airing her opinion, which was nice. But overall, like, it was just, a lot of people were just saying it was poorly performed overall. Because, like, Metallica performed with Lady Gaga. And, yeah, that weird combination.
Metallica rarely does shows, so maybe just let them do it on their own.
And then...
Coming from
yeah.
a non-Lady Gaga fan, though. Just Metallica fans.
I remember till you
their
texted me
mics
during the
aren't
Super
on.
Bowl. This is why I don't listen to music.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Some of the music nowadays is awful. Like, I've been on a real big, like, Green Day kick lately.
Yeah.
So I've been listening to their Bull in the Bible CD, which is when they did, like, their American Idiot tour.
Yeah, I saw them.
It just, like, that's got to be one of the best albums. Like,
Their new album
In
is
our
actually
time?
It's very good.
Very good.
Yes, I do like their new album.
Dan
But
and I saw them on that 21st Century tour.
I got free tickets from Cam.
I won them at grad.
At your grad.
And it was fun because when you're watching an opening band, normally you don't expect a gunshot to go off. But
I almost died.
the drummer, Trey Cool, for Green Day, set off one of their, like,
Pyro things.
pyro
While the
things.
opening band was playing.
But the opening band didn't know. It was a joke. So
Oh.
we ran on stage and he's laughing. And Dan and I swear to God, we cleared about 1.5 feet of air. Like, off our seats. We were like, Jesus Christ! Oh. Mommy! Mama!
But no, and like listening to what like remember like American Idiot and
That was my
Holiday
first concert. Was when they
were
here for
those
that
were the mainstream
concert.
songs and they were about shit. Like that was about rebellion
Hey.
against stuff. And like you go back and listen to like American Idiot and tell me that album is not relevant today with what's going on in America.
Oh,
it is
it's
the most
100% relevant.
It's hilarious. It's great.
It was
Good
writ-
songs
it-
never
It was written
never
about
go out of
George
style.
Bush, and
Yeah.
Donald Trump is
Not far off.
not far off from George
Actually,
Bush.
maybe even farther.
Yeah.
But,
Oh,
well,
definitely
hey,
farther.
songs mean stuff now. The Weeknd's got a song called I Can't Feel My Face When I'm With You. And it's about cocaine and drugs, and I didn't know that until I looked up the lyrics.
How about
I'm like, hey, that's awfully
really?
how
close
about
to-
Ariana Grande's
That
song?
makes sense now.
Which one?
Side to Side, where it's about getting fucked so hard that you have to like
There
walk
it goes.
like this.
We did so good on this podcast, and then you obliterated
Yeah,
it.
just
Oh no, I said fuck earlier.
it's not even.
Yeah, not that.
It's
It's
the
about what you
subject matter.
just did.
That's a
We
song.
should like end the podcast, and then after that we should have a few
Well, I think
disclaimers
for
and just
the-
be like, it's banter time, banter time. Yep.
We could have, like,
banter
I
time.
think for the 78th week in a row, Greg just made the list.
Yeah, 1,000.
Guys, we could have like post show stuff, and this is the post show where we just talk about nonsense.
We actually thought we hit the stop record button like 10 minutes ago.
never did, but now we will.
All right, closing words, Greg. Listen
No,
to
he
Ariana.
said that. He said
Yeah,
that.
you know what? Yeah, listen to Ariana Grande.